If you're a fan of massive expensive phones that bend, well, rubber gloves and lube at the ready. Because Vivo's fresh X Fold 6 has just launched and it could be bursting onto global markets imminently. Which is cracking news because it sounds like possibly the best foldable blower out there. But what is actually new compared with the lovely Vivo X Fold 5 from last year? Well, quite a bit as it happens, so let's have a squint, followed by some nothing-shaped shenanigans, and the usual sewage fest that is viewer comments. Jingle me. Techspert Weekly! Now the old Vivo X Fold 5 may not have been the skinniest foldable out there, content to let rivals like Honor and Oppo squabble over mere millimeters, but it was still pleasingly lightweight while packing some seriously solid specs. And for the X Fold 6, Vivo certainly seems to have stuck to this strategy. It's actually a wee bit heavier and thicker than its predecessor, although only by the merest of margins, and hopefully the many upgrades will make up for this. For one, Vivo has miraculously crammed a bloody huge 7,000 mAh battery in there, and that's bigger than any global foldable, and an absolute beast compared with the measly 4,400 mAh cell of Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold 7. In fact, this only appears to have ever been surpassed the one time in a foldable, and that was a special edition Honor mobile that never actually launched outside of China, at least according to my extremely thorough 12.5 seconds of Google-based research. But 7,000 mAh is a significant upgrade, even over the already pretty huge 6,000 mAh battery stuffed inside of that X Fold 5. It sounds like Vivo stuck with the same super nippy 80 watt wired charging and 40 watt wireless charging support for the Fold 5. Now Vivo and Qualcomm seem to have had a bit of a Barney in 2026, because the X Fold 6 is powered by a version of MediaTek's Dimensity 9500 chipset rather than a Snapdragon. Now, this should prove a decent step up from the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which Vivo slammed into the flexible frame of the old X Fold 5. And certainly the Dimensity 9500 did well in Vivo's very own X300 flagship phone, which handled games like Wuthering Waves without breaking a sweat or soiling its Y-fronts. All afternoon long, the game's plucky protagonist punched hapless creatures right in the chops, while wearing a skirt with roughly the same surface area as a postage stamp, and didn't see any slowdown while the phone didn't get too toasty either. And hopefully Vivo's coolant smarts will once again help the X Fold 6 from warming up under pressure. Another big upgrade for this generation is the camera setup, because Vivo has ripped out that old 50 meg Sony sensor and chucked in a 200 meg HPB sensor instead. So again, following in the footsteps of that X300 flagship. And that is bloody great news, because the X300 was a cracking wee camera phone. Those pics are clearly sharpened and processed, but they do look refreshingly natural despite this, with rather realistic tones. And you can also expect crispy blur-free snaps when you're shooting kids, pets, and other stuff that rather annoyingly isn't inert. We've apparently got the same 50 meg ultra-wide and telephoto sensors as the X Fold 5, but the X Fold 6 also apparently supports Vivo's mental 200mm tele-extender lens, if you want to look even more like a snooping perv in public. Alright. As for the rest of the Vivo X Fold 6's specs, well, they sound pretty familiar. You've got an even brighter 8-inch internal screen, which should help to counter the inevitably reflective protector that all foldables have slapped on top. Well, that cover screen is apparently now protected with upgraded nanocrystal glass. Woof. And you got the same IP58 and IP59 rating as the X Fold 5, so it's mostly dust resistant and fully water and spurt resistant. Can get most moist indeed. Now, if you're like me, by which I mean a bit of a phone nerd, not a sad bald old twat with a regrettable tattoo of Jedward secreted in a rather sensitive place, then you're probably getting rather ruddy excited about the Vivo X Fold 6. And the good-ish news is that Vivo has apparently already confirmed to Android Authority that the X Fold 6 will launch globally at some point when they can be bothered. The less goodish news is that, of course, Blighty is normally left well out of these global launch parties, so it'll probably be an import job for us lot anyway. But fingers crossed, your Uncle Spurt will have a proper fondle and bring you a full in-depth review soon. And now it's time for this. Uncle Spurt reacts to stuff and some of it makes him glum. Some makes him happy, some makes him mad, and some of it is your mum. So Colpay & Co are launching an all-new smartphone line next Tuesday with the Nothing Phone 4B. It sounds like it's picking up where the old Nothing Phone 3A Lite left off. Although in true Nothing fashion, of course, they've been about as tight-lipped as a drunk old gossip being held at gunpoint. So over multiple emails, blogs and social media posts, they've pretty much revealed the entire design, which looks like a cross between old Nothing phones and their budget-friendly CMF brand. And this includes a matte unibody with a transparent edge-to-edge camera bump, and yet another glyph bar, just like the Nothing Phone 4A, except with fewer lights. The blue tone is once again rather lovely, but we have seen it an awful lot from Nothing in recent times, so it would be good if they switched it up a bit. Basically anything except for buggering bloody orange. But what else do we know about the Nothing Phone 4B? Well, Nothing has also revealed on Shouty Hate Hole X that the Phone 4B will be powered by a Snapdragon chipset, which web rumours suggest will be the cut price 6th Gen 4. And even though my eyes are completely buggered and I'm a few whiskies deep, even I can count that there's only 2 cameras on the back now. So clearly they've slashed the telephoto jobby for this. And so once again, like the Nothing Phone 3A Lite, it looks like the Nothing Phone 4B will be sort of crossing that boundary between Nothing Phone and their cheaper budget-friendly CMF brand. In fact, from various other web rumours, it sounded like it might have been a CMF phone originally before making the switch to the Nothing brand. This shift does make me slightly concerned that perhaps the Nothing Phone 4B won't be quite as affordable as we'd hope, and that's most likely down to, of course, the component shortage, down to AI dickwits. And considering it looks like it'll have significant downgrades when it comes to the design, the performance and the camera tech compared with the Nothing Phone 4A, you gotta wonder if it'll really be worth it. Anyway, a mere speculation at the moment, of course. We will find out that price tag and the full skinny at 11 AM Blighty time on Tuesday. And maybe, you might want to check back in with your Uncle Spurt around then. Might have something hot and tasty for you at home. Wink, wink. And now it's time for the part of the show that's like a nice, tall, cold, frothy glass of catsick. It's viewer comments. Viewer comments.
I'm gonna get off by cranking your knob just a little beyond the breaking point.
So let's start this week with Jason McMeekin. You eat Jason, hope all's good, buddy, who says, how surprised was I thought this was a Samsung news video and it was a Techspert when I can be asked video. I mean, come on, Jason mate, you've been watching this channel for far too long. You should know to expect less news, more just sweary conjecture. Darius Eisenbeiss simply comments, not sure which particular segment of the 17-ish minute video that's referring to. I mean, frankly, it could be any part of it, or indeed the entire thing. Bob from Wick says, you shot the match in vertical mode, burn the witch. And just that bit where Mexico scored and we got absolutely showered in beer and God knows what else. I shot it that way because I did actually mean to chuck it up on TikTok and bloody Instagram, but of course I drunk so much Michelob that I went and completely forgot. Chelsea CFC77 says, we need Uncle to talk more about football at this point. I mean, to be completely honest, you absolutely do not. I think that footy's been rather comprehensively covered on social media by people who actually know what they're talking about. But England, still in it, somehow. And speaking of people who know what they're talking about, I did really enjoy ITV's pre-match build-up for the England-Panama game, where instead of interviewing some actual football pundits or, something clever like that, they just got on Ant and Dec. Like the England squad were about to be force-fed a bunch of scorpions or bull knobs or something, which to be fair would have been more entertaining than the actual match. Not the most thought-provoking of analysis, has to be said. I mean, you might as well get Mary Berry on to comment on the World Felching Championships. Oh no, my lovely, that's not an eclair. I reckon I've got that Best Mary Berry Impression of 2026 award in the bag. Harpo says, oi Spurty, are you dissing my beloved Millwall? And I've always had a wee bit of love for Millwall because I did actually used to live in Bermondsey about a quarter of a century ago, back before we had quite so many wine bars. And got to admit though, I am always a little bit worried whenever Sunderland play them. Just concerned that our lads won't leave the stadium with quite as many legs as they started with. And Jed Bullet says, Uncle Spurt, heatwave coming to the UK, 37 degrees centigrade, middle of next week down here. I'm thinking seaside and just sitting in the sea, drinking booze. An absolutely ideal solution, mate, because unlike a swimming pool, you don't actually have to get out whenever you need a piss. All you need is some sort of floating beer cooler tethered to your arm or whatever, and you're basically set. Thankfully, did manage to avoid the worst of the heat by buggering off to Stockholm last week on just a cheapy last minute deal. It was like a perfect 20-ish degrees, so the timing was absolutely spot on. And Sweden certainly ain't a cheap place to visit, but we still managed to find plenty of free stuff to do, like the skint stingy gits we are. And we also managed to track down some of the best beer in the capital, including good old Omnipollo, which is in a funky old church. And my absolute favourite drinking establishment of 2026 so far, a cracking wee brew pub housed on this beautiful little island. Anyway, I did a full vlog on it over on the Spurt Hole, my second channel, so definitely go check that out if you want a full rundown. And I had quite a few recommendations on the comments in last week's show on what to do out there as well, so cheers everyone for that. For instance, Denoit9251 says, if you're going to Stockholm, you have to see the art metro stations. They're incredible. Yeah, they are rather stunning. I mean, they certainly make the London Tube look like the rat-infested, decrepit tunnels of woe that they are. But what I don't get is that the Stockholm Tube is nice and cool, which is kind of what you'd expect from dark underground tunnels. Whereas the London Tube, in summertime, gets hotter than Satan's undercarriage. Pete Warner suggested the ABBA Museum, which, not a bad shout if you like ABBA. Personally, Pete, I do not like ABBA. I'd actually rather visit a museum all about crotch rot. But on the Tuesday, when we were getting a tram through to the Omnipollo brewery up in the north bit of Stockholm, I did notice there were a lot of people kicking around in old metal t-shirts. And that was when I discovered there was actually a metal festival called Broken Summer happening in Stockholm that very day, which I'd somehow completely blanked on. Featuring like Bad Omens, Plotting You, Dying Wish, Kubla Khan, bunch of absolute bangers. I kind of felt like a kid who just slept through Christmas Day. NT2382 says, Uncle Spurt, have you been catching up with Jujutsu Kaisen? The Cullen Games Part 2 trailer looks amazing. I'm certainly trying to, and as usual, mostly failing to be completely honest, because only one Uncle Spurt, which means I have to spend about 12 hours a day pumping out videos on all the random tech that's coming out, just so I can fund my number one hobby of getting blackout drunk. Now, the subject of the previous episode was, of course, Samsung's upcoming Galaxy S26 Fan Edition, the FE model. And Peter N3363 says, on the bright side, may have less AI crap than the actual flagships. I don't know, man. I mean, Samsung is going hard with that AI, so I'm fully expecting the S26 FE to be dripping from every orifice with AI man paste. Rowan says, Samsung fans turning into Apple fans, just blindly buying the same phone year over year. And the thing is with Samsung, again, they're so generous with their software updates that it seems kind of ridiculous not to say just check out a flagship from 2-3 years ago, which will still have years of support to go, but be considerably cheaper and actually probably not that different. Fully dependent on battery health, of course. You've got to make sure you don't grab yourself a used one that's been charged like every single night since it came out. Aaron sums it up rather nicely, simply says 2 words, Fanny Edition. Yeah, 5 stars for that one, fella, no notes. Seth Pinnock says, brain jerk idea, ditch the FE version and then boost the A50 series to the FE specs, and that is a better lineup. Yeah, 100% agree with that, to be honest. I don't really know why the FE series and the A series need to exist, as they are quite close in that sort of mid-range sort of area. If it means less phones for me to bloody review as well, I'll be happy enough with that. Franklin Goodwin, slightly off topic here, says, I love Wimpy. Five Guys is overrated. You can't even get a burger called the Bender. The Wimpy Bender burger. I can't remember that one, I gotta say. But yeah, Five Guys does seem to be incredibly divisive, that's for sure. Gotta say, I love the burgers, I love the Cajun fries, love the milkshakes. But bloody hell is it expensive. Like, basically just like a small burger and a fries is pretty much 20 quid by itself. That's before you even start to think about drinks, hence I usually just take a hip flask. Bang out of time, so better make this the last one. Jedi Polar Bear says, your fee is 2 curly whirlies and half a bag of scampi fries. That's about £3,500 in today's money. I am not wrong, mate. Those chocolate vending machines you see about and don't actually take coins anymore, they just take gold teeth. So massive thanks to everyone who commented last week. Apologies if we didn't quite get to yours. And yeah, please do tappity tap your comments down below. We'll get through as many of those as possible next week. And speaking of next week,
Next week, what the f is next week?
and hey, guess what? I'm actually not buggering off on a press launch thing or a jolly or whatever next week. So we'll actually be around to record and edit another 15-ish minutes of pointless rambly bollocks to ruin everyone's Friday. Also next week, of course, that big Nothing Phone 4B launch on Tuesday, 11 o'clock Blighty time. And your Uncle Spurt hoping to get something up for that one. And also this past week, I've mostly replaced sleep with playing video games on this massive git. The MSI Claw MSI Claw 8X AI Plus, which packs in Intel's latest Arc G3 Extreme chipset. Fancy. And if you want to hear me f***ing up this stupid, pointlessly long name over and over again, well, I'll be putting out a full review next week. And that's that. So massive thanks for watching this shower shit to the bitter end. You guys are absolutely ruddy lovely. Please do plug subscribe and ding that notifications bell if you haven't done so already. And have yourselves a ruddy wonderful weekend. Cheers everybody. Love you.